Judy Zelina, and this is the Millcreek Government Channel. Careerlink is a one-stop shop that connects employers and job seekers in a very efficient manner. And here to tell us how this all works and how it happens here in Erie County, we have the site administrator, Rick Cornwell. Rick, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Judy. I'm really happy to be here today.
Well, you've been on the show before, but
Yes.
a lot has happened since the last time you've been on, and that's what I want to get out to the viewers. Let them know what you have going on. First off, Rick, many people have heard about Careerlink, but if you could let our viewers know, give them an overview of actually what is the purpose of Careerlink.
Sure. The purpose really is to serve two populations, if you want to say it that way. One is to serve the job seeker. And so years ago, when you used to go to the unemployment office and wait in the long lines, you sometimes got a chance to talk to somebody that was called a job developer at the time. In the 90s, they separated that out, and they established something across the country called one-stop systems. And they also called it American Job Centers. In Pennsylvania, we kind of put our mark on it and called it Pennsylvania Careerlink.
All right, okay.
They're one-stop centers for all job seekers to go to. They can look for jobs. We have a large job search engine called Job Gateway, which is an updated job search site. And it actually pulls in all the other job search engines as well, like Monster, Indeed. All of those also come into it. So it really is a kind of a repository for all jobs available in Pennsylvania, and specifically Northwest Pennsylvania, Erie County, for those of us who live here.
So if they go on that website, they're actually, like you said, pulling in from all the other sites?
All the other sites.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Oh yes. So it's definitely all the jobs that you can possibly look for are going to be available in that particular site. So when they first come into the Careerlink, they're going to get a username and a password, and they're going to create a password.
Okay.
They're also going to get something called a Keystone ID. Once they have that, they're good to go. I mean, they can search from any computer that has internet service. They don't have to come into our facility. But if they don't come into our facility, they're going to miss some things.
Okay, that's what I wanted to talk to let our viewers know. First off, where are you located?
We're located at 155 West 8th Street. We're right at 8th and Sassafras, across from Methodist Towers.
Okay, do I need an appointment to stop down there?
You don't. We're open from 9 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon, except Friday, we close at 2. And anytime you want to just come right in, go right ahead.
Okay, so I can just come in at any time. All right, Rick, I've walked in there. You've got tons of programs. All right, tell our viewers, first off, when I walk in, how are you going to help me? Am I going to meet with an intake coordinator or something like that?
The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see one of our greeters.
All right.
Usually it's Karen. And Karen's going to greet you, and first thing she's going to ask you is, are you a veteran? Or are you a spouse of a veteran? Because at the Pennsylvania Careerlink, we have what they call priority services for any veteran that comes to our facility, which means they go to the first of the line. And so we want to make sure we're taking care of our soldiers first.
Okay.
Once she finds that information out, or whatever else you might want to do, she's going to give you what we call an intake form. It's basically a menu. You're going to go down the menu, you're going to click off, you're going to check off what you want help with.
All right.
So maybe you want help with a resume, and it's been years since you've done a resume. And the resume format changes with employers through the years. So it's a good idea to just double check to make sure you're not living in the 70s or 80s and your resume is really to today's standards and what employers look for.
Okay.
Or an interviewing skills class. Or maybe they want to go to orientation, just find out all the services that are offered at the Careerlink. So those are some of the choices. But she's going to then find out, is this the first time you've been here? If not, then you're going to do your normal thing. So you might be there for a class. You might be there to go and job search in our Career Resource Center.
Okay.
But if you're brand new to the Careerlink, you're not going to feel like you're hanging out there, because we have what we call a triage expert. Now, we usually associate that with a hospital.
All right.
Yes, but it's not about the physical part.
But you have one. Okay.
We have one. And
All
this person looks at your triaging for your job. Where have you been? What have you done? What are maybe some of your aspirations? Where are you at training-wise? What is your education? They're going to go over all these things with you and kind of set you on a little bit of a path on where to go next. So now they're going to begin to refer you. So let's say it's a person that comes in the door. Let's say it's a veteran that, number one, they're having a real problem with housing.
All right.
They're going to refer you to our different partners who take care of housing. So they're going to refer you out. Let's say you're a job seeker that's ready for an interview. You have it scheduled, but you're panicked because you don't have the right clothes. they're going to refer you to Dress for Success or St. Martin's Center for men's clothing.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things a triage expert does to refer these people so they get them to the next step in the process.
All right.
In addition, they could also refer you through the Workforce Investment Act, Title I contractor that we have.
All right.
The Careerlink is made up of different partners. We have a state partner, we have a Title I partner, we have the Office of Vocational Rehab, we have GCAC, we have all kinds of different partners in the Careerlink. And so what we're able to do, and in the essence of one stop, it means you're going to get all the different services that you need, whether we refer you to them or whether we offer them right there in the facility. You're going to be able to access those services very simply.
Okay. Before I go on, is there a charge for any of these services?
These services are absolutely free to the person coming in the door.
Charge.
They are.
Free of charge.
And you know, the other thing that I mentioned the job seeker. The second entity that I didn't mention to you was the businesses or the employers.
All right.
We also have many services for employers because our job is to connect these two entities.
Okay.
And so we have what we call a business service team. It's a group of people that work at the Careerlink. Their primary function is to reach out to businesses, and businesses reach out to them to post jobs that are available in Erie County, to maybe do some employment screening, to refer clients to certain positions that are open. And then we hold things like career fairs and other types of events for these different employers to be able to help them to access the people they need for their jobs that are available.
That's very important because I really don't think a lot of the businesses have the manpower anymore because everybody does cutbacks, but it doesn't have the manpower to screen their own applicants. So by time they've come to you, you've screened them, you've put them in the right direction. By the time they come to that employer, it's already someone that you feel they would be very interested for that position.
You know, another thing we do for the employers, we give them different information about workforce.
All right.
And so we have for example, what's the average wage of a position in Erie County? Is there a top range and is there a bottom range, which there is, and what's the medium income? So let's say I'm a new employer, I'm looking to hire 10 people for my business, but I don't have any idea what to pay them.
All right.
We have this particular information that the state of Pennsylvania collects, and we can help employers to really look and say, here's what your competition. We won't say specifically who the company is, but this is the high end of the wage range for this particular position in Erie County, and here's maybe the lowest range. So sometimes an employer will say, you know what, I'm not able to keep people. I don't know what to do about it. And we'll say, well, let's first of all talk about what's your wage structure, what are your benefit package, what does all that look at compared to the competition? And now we can begin to give them a little advice on maybe what they need to tweak for that.
That's helpful.
It really is. The other thing that's really nice with employers is we're connected directly to economic development as well. And so let's say an employer comes to me and says, hey Rick, I'm hiring 5 people right now in these positions, but I also want to start expanding my business, and I'm really thinking of adding another 100 positions in my expansion. So I'm going to ask that individual employer, are you seeking any funding for the expansion? Because I can connect you with economic development partners that can help you in that expansion. Or it could be a company that's looking to become a little bit more effective in their processes. And they want to know, well, how can I find out who I can talk to about, for example, lean processes in a manufacturing plant that really cuts back on that. So we do all those kinds of things for businesses as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
You also, and I didn't know this until I was looking over your website, which again, you can check out their website. It's got tons of information on it. But you also serve youth.
We do.
Yes, and you know, what are the benefits for our youth in the region to go through Careerlink?
You know, a lot of times youth don't realize that we serve youth.
No,
We typically say we're
even
serving,
old people don't know you.
Yeah, we're serving adults, we're serving dislocated workers that get laid off, but we also serve youth. And the youth that we serve can be anywhere from 16 right on up to...
Really?
Yeah, and it's actually going to be, it's 16 years old right now, and it's going to be, it's up to 21, but it's also going to increase to 24 once we hit the new law that's going to replace the Workforce Investment Act.
What's that?
The Workforce Investment Act is the law that was passed in the 90s that established the one-stop centers.
All right.
Through that Workforce Investment Act, a lot of people don't know there's training money money available to help people that are looking for jobs. There's certain qualifications, part of it's income, but it could be a person's just dislocated, they were laid off. So they could be available for funding to go back to school. And sometimes people don't realize that.
I did not realize that
so,
either.
So they can get up to a certain amount of money if they qualify to go back to school. In addition, through the same act, there's also something called on-the-job training funding. So let's say employer A would like to hire an individual, and this particular individual, but they need training.
Okay.
So to offset the cost of that training, we will, through the Workforce Investment Act, there's funding available to pay up to half of that new employee's wages during that training process, up to 6 months and sometimes more. So what a great opportunity for an employer to say, hey, I can hire this person, and as long as I'm paying them at least $10 an hour, now I can get half of their wages while I'm trying them out and training them, so that once they become a productive employee, now it's not such a drag on my business financially. So it's a really neat opportunity for employers and job seekers to connect.
Wow. And again, that's just another bonus for an employer to go through Careerlink, correct?
Yes. Now for youth, there's a couple things that we do. Number one, we have a full-time youth counselor that's in the schools all the time. So they're able to meet with students and help them.
All right.
One of the problems that we have, and I'll be very honest with you, one of the problems we're having in our county right now, and it's actually happening across the country, especially though in cities that have a large history of manufacturing, because of the the layoffs that occurred during the 80s and 90s,
right,
and the perception of manufacturing that came out of that, and not just manufacturing but the trades as well. Very few people have gone into those industries. So we're really encouraging youth to think about not just going to college, because we told kids for a long time, if you don't go to college, right? And so now we have a lot of college grads that are out there working minimum wage jobs and so forth.
Yes, they are.
And I have an awful lot of manufacturers that are just flat out worried about who's going to replace their skilled workers. Because manufacturing has gone from a very process-oriented, high-volume type of operation where you're on a punch press and you're running piece after piece after piece. That world happens in China and places like that today.
All right.
We have a very high-tech manufacturing now.
Yes, we do.
And in high-tech manufacturing, it requires a lot of skills, especially the technology skills. And so it's changed from that kind of dirty place environment thought process to this very high-tech clean environment. And not all, but many. And the money to be made in manufacturing is there. And the employers are just worried sick because the baby boomers are retiring. They have nobody to replace these skilled workers. And they're at a crossroads. They need people to get interested in these types of careers. So right now, I'm telling you, I need welders, I need CNC operators, I need machinists, I need high tech, everything high tech. And there's really a world of opportunity out there, especially for youth. And I also tell them, don't shy away from HVAC, electrician, plumber, steam fitter. They are looking for young people to get into to the apprenticeship programs, and they're having a difficulty getting them in there. So part of our youth, I guess you could say, our youth surge, if you want to say it that way, is to try to get parents and children to understand the opportunities that are out there. Don't just look at one thing. Don't just say, if I don't go to college, I'll do this. There's obviously, we have great colleges in our region. There's many reasons why you want to do that. Mm-hmm. And some of the tech positions require it as well. So I mean, there's a lot of, think about your career and what you want to do, but also think about, if I want to live in Erie County, what are the jobs out there that are available to me? I want to be able to explore it all. And so there's a lot of neat things going on. So what we do is try to help kids explore.
You know, Rick, what I think too is when you're talking about this, you're right. I know many parents say, got to go to college, got to go to college. And this child really has no desire to go to college. They're a hands-on kind of kid.
Yes.
You know, they're the ones that took the lawnmower apart 20 times just to see how it worked and put it all back together, and now it's racing around the yard. So you're right. I guess I didn't realize that we are in such desperate need of skilled workers.
Yes, we definitely are. So part of our youth program is to help kids with financing to get into programs that can help them get these jobs.
So this is where you can help them. If you have a young person coming in saying, I really don't know what direction. I know I don't want college. How can you help me? This is where you'll put some fillers out and on the intake form see where their interests lie?
Yes. And then there's certain, for them to qualify for the financial end of it, they have to have, there's certain barriers they have to have. But I mean, people have an awful lot of barriers. So I would say it's, there's an income barrier, but it could also be they're a single mom or single dad. Or, there's a lot of different things that come into play when we're talking about, how to help youth to get where they want to go.
This is phenomenal. This is really, really wonderful. I didn't realize that you'll do that for young people.
Yes.
Great.
And through the Workforce Investment Board, we have a local Workforce Investment Board. Okay. And the Careerlink really falls under that. But so does the Youth Council. And a lot of people don't know the Youth Council exists. And this is a council that does help youth and coordinate different, again, it's opportunities for them to see what different types of businesses are doing right now. And is that something I might want to do if I'm a student? Great
information for youth. I do want to talk to, now there's been a lot of emphasis on veterans. Again, what services do you provide for our veterans?
Yes. And we were just at a career fair last week, actually, at the Hammer Mill Center.
Okay.
And it was packed. There had to be 600 veterans that came in there. And Senator Wiley's group, hosted it, but it was a fantastic event. And we've seen more and more emphasis on how to help these veterans that are coming back right now. And so we do a lot for veterans. We can refer them, obviously, to all the different programs, but we're also very much in contact with all the different veteran groups in the city.
All right.
We have a full-time person that just does nothing but veteran services. And so she's connecting, her job is to connect with businesses, to get businesses to look at veterans that we have coming to the Careerlink.
All right.
And we do a lot of work also with disabled veterans or veterans that have severe barriers that really get in their way to becoming employed. And so we do an awful lot with veterans. For example, our career fair that's coming up that we can talk about a little later, the first hour of that career fair is for veterans only.
So you recognize the importance of what these veterans have done for the country, and you know what? We got to give back.
We do. And you come in and say, well, what did you do when you were in the military? And they'll say, well, I did this.
Okay.
So let's say I was a mechanic. Okay, what skills as a mechanic can we now transfer to this job? So a lot of it's about transferring skills. It's about meeting with that veteran and saying, where are you? What did you do? What are some of the skills? Let's write down those skills. Now, how do those transfer to the jobs that people are looking to fill out there?
Oh, all right.
So a lot of times what happens is we get stuck in the idea that, hey, I was this. So now I'm going to look online for this. And, oh, there's only one job or there's 5 jobs. It's because we don't expand our thinking to say, what else am I capable of doing where I have skills? And once you open that up in your mind, you open up more possibilities for yourself.
Well, Rick, I think, too, there are so many more opportunities and jobs out there. And you're right, we do get in a mindset, oh, well, I can only do this. Well, maybe not.
Maybe not.
And I think that's great that people can be open to this and learn.
Absolutely.
What's out there. I know one thing I want to talk about briefly, too, is you have some workshops.
Yes.
All right. I always like to hear that word because that is hands-on, it's learning, and it's passing on information. Tell me some of the workshops that you provide.
Sure. One of the workshops, we had a hard time for a long time having an instructor, but we have an instructor now that does it for me every single week. It's on Mondays, and it's a basic computer skills workshop. I've got to tell you a quick story. I had a gentleman come into the Careerlink.
All right.
And he was looking for a position, and I said to him, well, sir, I said, I'm going to have you, have you been here before? He said, yes. And I said, okay, well, let's go back to the resource center and let's take a look. He goes, I really don't want to do anything with those computers. He says, I don't know much about them. I really don't. And my heart went out to him because there's a lot of people that don't know about computers.
That's
it's
right.
tough,
That's right.
I mean, I still am trying to figure out how to tweet. But anyway, he says, all I want is a maintenance position. And I said, I understand that, sir. He goes, and I don't have to have computer skills for that. I said, well, actually you do. Because you have to look up your maintenance orders. You got to report your maintenance orders when they're completed. You're going to have to use emails. So there's some things that you're going to need to do, and we would be glad to and happy to help you with those skills. And I talked to them about our computer class, and so it's really it varies in the range that people have familiarity with it. Some people don't know what a mouse is, other than the one that runs around your house, if you know. And then other people, though, are more advanced than that. But I think this gives them a really good picture of how to navigate a Word document, how to navigate the internet so you can look for a job, and how to apply for those positions. One of the harder things people have, and I have myself, to be very honest with you, is all these websites that you have to apply for jobs on now, they're complicated. They're not simple, and they're not all the same. So you go to that website, if you got a simple one, it walks you through the process, and you feel pretty good about it. But then there's other ones you're thinking, now how do I get here? How do I do this? And this is coming from somebody that is pretty good with it. Now you have somebody that is a novice. It's tough. So another class that we offer is resume writing. And my instructor, Luis, is just fantastic with the people that he has in class with him. And the skills they pick up, and Luis spends a lot of time with them. And it's just invaluable in how to write a resume for today's work environment.
I think that's very important because you had pointed out earlier, things change through the years.
They absolutely
I'm sure if I look back at the resume that I put out in 70s or 80s, whatever, is certainly different than it is today. Also, I want to talk about career fairs. That's really important. But one thing I do want to touch base real briefly on, because before our time ends, is the interview process.
Yes.
Whoa, has that changed?
Dramatically.
Dramatically. And you know what? Between you and I, Rick, my heart aches for someone who isn't that good of an interviewer. You put them out there doing that job, and they are top-notch. Again, they give 150%.
That's right.
Some of them just don't know how to.
You know, we have an interviewing skills class that Louise also teaches. That's excellent.
Does she?
It is an excellent course. But I would say, number one, as you mentioned, things have changed dramatically.
Oh, yes, they have.
Even from the time you apply for the position to the first time you get notified by the employer, you're thinking after a week that, oh, I wonder if I'm still in the running. 2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks goes by, then finally you get a phone call from the employer, and then they invite you in for an interview. This process could take literally months.
Yes, it could.
It's very different. A few very quick things. One thing you definitely don't want to do is talk negatively about your former employer. That is not a good strategy. The other thing you want to think about is your employer, the potential employer, wants to see, number one, do you fit? I have these people that work for me now. Do you fit into that group?
Right.
They want to know, will you come to work on time?
Okay.
Will you come to work every day? When you're at work, will you be engaged in your work, or are you going to be texting people?
Okay.
You know, et cetera.
Exactly.
And you know, Judy, it's amazing, but many employers say to me, Rick, if you could find people that can do those three things, come to work on time, be engaged in their work, be at work every day, I will hire them. They said, I'll teach them what to do. So it's gotten to that point where work ethic has become such a huge, difficult thing that it's really on employers' radars.
Yeah. Well, if they need to know if any of the workshops that you offer, they can just check it out on the website, right?
Absolutely. And I didn't tell you this, and I'm getting ahead of this game here, but we're going to be having a brand new website that Mercier students have created for us.
Good. Coming
out, and it's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. So there'll be an announcement about that coming, but I just wanted to let you know that.
I'm going to keep an eye out for that. I want to talk about career fairs. How important are career fairs? Am I really going to find a job?
You know, this really is the first opportunity that all job seekers have to do a face-to-face with an employer. It is so important for you to make sure you have good eye contact, you shake hands properly, you have a professional resume, and you're dressed for the part.
Okay.
If you're serious about jobs, that's what you need to do. We're in the midst of what I call the huge job fair season. Everyone is having job fairs. And if you really want to be successful and you want that employer to walk away with an impression of you, make that first impression. That is so critical. Employers are not there just because they want to come and pass out freebies.
Right.
They're there because they're looking for serious job seekers.
So if there is an employer there, they're looking for people.
Yes, they are.
Because they're not going to spend their time just to take up space.
That is correct.
All right. when they do show up at these career fairs. Now, first off, you have a career fair.
We do.
Every year? Do you have one?
And we have an annual career fair.
Okay.
And this year it's going to be, for the second year in a row, at the Zemzem Shrine Club on West 38th and Zook Road.
All right.
It's going to be on May 21st, which is a Thursday.
All right.
From 10 to 4. As I mentioned earlier, the first hour, 10 to 11, is going to be for veterans only. And then the rest of the day is for everyone else. I highly encourage you to come. Last year we had 1,200 job seekers. I'm hoping to get even more than that this year. It is a great event. Last year we had 70 employers. I'm expecting probably the same amount of employers this year, maybe more. And there are, I will tell you, from last year to this year, the amount of job opportunities that are there, there's many more.
Really?
Really.
So it is really worth my while to show up to one of these career fairs.
Absolutely.
You know, I think people sometimes get a little defeated. It's like, oh, what am I going to do? There's going to be all those people there. You know, I don't stand a chance. But you do.
You do. You very definitely do. We live in a world where the only thing the employer sees before they see you, if they see you, is a resume. The resume is your way to get to the interview. This is the only avenue you have to actually make a first impression with an employer that they can put with that resume you hand them.
Okay.
So I hand them that professional resume, I greet them, I shake their hands.
So
there's a face to the name that wasn't there before.
Okay.
Okay?
And
that is really, really perfect to do that.
Rick, thank you so much for all these tips you've given our viewers, but mostly for letting them know that Pennsylvania Careerlink is out there and it's there for them.
It is there for them.
And it's free, people. I mean, even if you are working right now, but you want to change your career, you're looking for something different, even then come and see you. They don't have to be unemployed to come and see you, correct?
No, one of the criteria is something called underemployed. And that's people that are out there in jobs that they're just taking because they need a job.
Okay.
I always tell people a lot, you need a job, but you need a career. The job will get you by every day if you can't, but then think about your career. So people are looking for careers as well. And their current job is enough to get them by, but they need to go further.
And this is where you come into play. Rick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Viewers, any questions, check out their website, give them a call, or even just stop in. So viewers, thank you for tuning in to the Millcreek Government Channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.